As a Lulu main, I find it frustrating when I W someone and their skill goes through. My question is this an intended mechanic, an actual bug? It is an intended mechanic. The vast majority of skills in League of Legends cannot be cancelled by CC. And a really easy example of this is Ezreal ult. One of the first things a lot of people ask about Ezreal ult is like, why can't I stun him out of it? It's a long cast time, clearly he's channeling, clearly that should be stunned. But it's not a channel, it's a cast. And casts, the vast majority of casts in League of Legends, very intentionally cannot be interrupted by CC. There's a number of reasons for that. One of the big ones is actually like ping equality. It's the idea that in a world where a lot of players are going to have like pretty like divergent pings and internet connections from each other, if you both do an action, ideally both of your actions go through. So this is like, let's say we both do like 2 quarter cast time spells that stun each other. In that world, like regardless of who pushed it first, we both stun each other, which tends to match up with both of our expectations what was supposed to happen. And so like basically ensures that just actions tend to happen and go off and feel like they're working. So that's like part of it. And then the other part of it though is like, CC in League of Legends is very powerful. And so allowing CC to basically be a trump card for everything would be a buff to CC. And generally it's a thing where we've chosen that, hey, most spells by not being interrupted by CC means that like, your actions can go off if you get CC'd, so you don't have to worry about that. Whereas if you did have to worry about that, you'd run into situations where it's like, does someone have a stun? Never cast your spell. Because if you try to do it, they'll interrupt your spell and cancel it, right? And obviously, like, some things already work like that, like channels. But, like, that matters. One of the reasons I think Elden Ring is just incredibly designed. There's a lot of reasons Elden Ring is well designed. But one of the reasons is Elden Ring is really good at defying your expectations. You think you know a character's moveset, and then you run into one that has a different move. You think treasure chests are good for you, and then you run into one that sends you to hell. You think caves take you to little side areas, and then one of them sends you down here. They do a really good job at like kind of giving you this like sense of wonder and excitement around every corner, because you never know what you're going to run into. And one of the reasons you don't know what you're going to run into is they're constantly introducing new things that betray your expectations. It's very good. Any chance something is reverted? So when we revert things, the question to ask is the new thing worse than the old thing? And so like a lot of times people come in and be like, revert this thing you did. And it's like, a lot of times, even if the new thing isn't perfect, it tends to be better than the old thing. And so when someone comes in and is like, revert this, it's like, well, we probably wouldn't, because we believe the new thing is better than the old thing. And if the new thing is not perfect, perhaps it just needs, some tuning or some adjustments. Where reverts happen is when we feel like we had an old thing that was good, and the new thing was not better. It was like just, a straight downgrade for whatever reason. So like, as an example, after we did the assassin update years ago, we ended up reverting a lot of those assassins because we ended up in a state where the new assassins that we had were actually a lot worse than the old ones. And so it's like, well, this makes sense to do a revert here. And so that would be the question to ask, is not just, is the new thing perfect? A lot of times something that we do is not perfect and we'll need some work, we'll need some follow-up, we'll need some tuning. But is the new thing, even if not perfect, still an improvement on the old thing or not?
All the Riot startups, I have a unique opinion on each of them. I probably do too, to some degree at least. I will say, my general opinion on the Riot startups is, from what I've seen, they pretty much all universally try to do free-to-play, and I don't think it's good for any of them. It's like, free-to-play in the way that League is free-to-play only really works as a business model when you have an absolutely, completely insane user base. And it's like, well, you're just like some random startup. You're probably not going to have that in the beginning, and it's very hard to make VC funding work when you're promising them, hey, by the way, like, we're going to be really successful. And it's like, okay, well, your monetization model doesn't allow you to support yourself at all unless you are an insanely massive game. It's like, okay, well, that doesn't. I just don't think that really makes sense. I was just reading through the positional rank. I saw Sap Magic, who's now at Greg Street's thing. Yeah, I haven't really been paying that much attention to Greg Street's thing. I heard I heard they released a video and people seemed not impressed, but I didn't actually watch it myself. People turn from Supervive so fast. Yeah, I will say it's like this is gonna sound, because Supervive has been out for a while. This is gonna sound like I'm like maybe being overly mean or like, you know, being hindsight. It's like every single time I saw Supervive, I was like, this game is not going to work. Like, there's just no way. But yeah, Supervive, like, to me, Supervive never had a chance. Like, that shape of game was just never going to be successful, especially with their monetization. Yeah, like, that's the thing, is like, games like that can be fun for a short period of time, but it was just never going to have the long-term appeal that they needed. And like, to me, that's kind of what I was talking about with the monetization, where if they had sold that game for $10 or $15 even, right? Like, yes, they would have had an even smaller user base, but I think the game could have maybe been financially decently successful. Like, it probably still wouldn't have made money, but at least maybe they could have made enough money to keep the lights on in their studio, right? Whereas, like, you do the math on, like, what they would actually need to support a studio of their size, and it's like, oh, they would have needed to have, like, literally 20x the user base that they had, even if they were monetizing, like, 10 times better than League does in terms of, like, revenue per hour. Right, so it's like it's just, there's just no way, right? Like, there's just no way you're happening. No way you're happening. No way you're getting it to work. I will say, I am just waiting for the day when Quacks uploads a video of me just saying the most deranged thing possible, because I mix up words all the time, legitimately all the time. I do it 24/7. I say the wrong thing constantly. The most successful X-Riot startup is Singularity 6, who got bought out. I guess Legion TD2. I love Legion TD2, but I think the way that Legion TD2 is like structured and the way its visuals are set up, it was never going to be a big success. But I think their monetization model makes sense. They just sold the game. It's not, you know, they just said, buy our game for cheap and, you know, have a good time playing it. And I think that made a lot of sense. I think there was an X-Riot couple that now sells Korean corn dogs in K-Town. That sounds kind of awesome, actually. When I was a kid, like when I was in like second grade or something, I ate a corn dog at lunch. And I threw up afterwards, which I'm almost certain, looking back now, it had nothing to do with the corn dog. But that put me off corn dogs for like 15 years or something like that. And then I finally had a corn dog at one point afterwards. I was like, wait, these are awesome. Like, I've been missing out because I was traumatized from eating a corn dog when I was in elementary school. I remember I had a morning where I just ate like a pound of grapes on an empty stomach and just puked all over the carpet and then didn't eat them for like 3 years. That's kind of similar to what happened to me with corn dogs. And I've come around and now decided that corn dogs are awesome instead. But it took me a long time. Like, legitimately, it was like more than 10 years for sure that I didn't eat corn dogs. I was like, every time I saw a corn dog, I was like, that's going to make me throw up. And then I spent some time thinking about it at some point, and I was like, wait a second. It probably had nothing to do with that. I threw up all the time when I was in second grade. Like, that was just like a thing that I did all the time. Like, my stomach just sucked. It was just bad at, you know, containing food. So I don't know why I made that really strong association with corn dogs and not other foods.